Happy Sunday. Let me know if you guys can hear me. So I'm gonna wait for, I don't know why I feel so awkward anytime. I don't know if that will ever go away. Anytime I start these lives, I always feel so awkward because I feel like I'm just talking to myself. And I've been just recording videos for so long. I don't know if I'll ever fully be comfortable with the live stuff because, like I said, I'm used to recording my videos, editing them, and then uploading them. So it's definitely hard for me to cover up the awkwardness whenever I do lives. But I'm gonna wait for some people to come in. And like I said, let me know if you guys can't hear me. But I feel awkward, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get right into the message. um, you can't save them, and you're not meant to. There's a difference between helping people and saving people. I believe in helping people. We all need help at some point in our lives. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how spiritual you are. I don't care how strong you are. At some point in our lives, we all need help. So I do believe in helping people. I don't believe in saving people. Because number one, you can't. You can't. You're not God. Only God can save people. And number two, that's not your responsibility. That is a heavy weight to try to save somebody. That's too much for you as another human to carry. And I feel like a lot of, oh, I got a piece of hair on my lip. I feel like a lot of times when you're an empath, you have a lot of times empaths have a savior complex. And I know because I used to have a savior complex, constantly feeling like I had to and that I could save people. And especially when you're an empath, when you're just an empathetic person, you care about other people. You want to fix them. You want to either fix the issue, or if it's them that needs to change, you want to fix them, and you subconsciously believe that you can. And you can't because you're not God. And that's really between them and God. If you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my notes. um, but if you see that a person's suffering is self-inflicted, you have you might feel a responsibility to fix them, but you can't. No matter how no matter how much of a positive influence you are, no matter how inspirational and spiritual you are, you can't save or fix another person. That's between them and God. And even with that, God gives us free will. He's not going to force you to do anything. So even though God can save people, they have to be willing to show up for themselves. They have to do the work. Like, that's why I say, and the reason why I feel the need to say all this is because I have a family member who I've helped out a lot. I've helped this person out a lot over the years. And subconsciously, I always felt the need to fix them or save them because a lot of their suffering is self inflicted, is due to their choices. And even though I know this, I'm still an empathetic person. And I don't want to see anybody I love suffering. So I've always carried this weight of feeling like I had to save them or fix them or change them. And I've helped this person so many times over the years. I've helped them out in so many ways. And guess what? They still end up in the same position. Even other people have helped this person a lot too, and they still end up in the same position. So that's when I had to realize this person is living in a cycle that only they can break. Only they can break the cycle. It don't matter how much people help this person. Their life is not going to change until they change. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when it's somebody you love. And I had to realize that person is not my responsibility. Even though I feel like they are, because like I said, I'm an empathetic person. I had to realize, Kyla, this is a grown ass person. They're older than you. No matter what you do, you can give this person the world on a silver platter, and they will still find a way to F it up because they have to change. They have to change. No matter how much their circumstances change, if they don't change, they're going to end up in the same position they was before. And it's so hard to take a step back because I've had to set really hard boundaries with this person. I've had to say no when I'm used to always saying yes. And even though that person might look at me like I'm cold hearted, it's actually the opposite. It's been very hard for me to say no. But I'm like, if I keep saying yes, they're never going to change. And I'm always going to carry that burden. I'm always going to be carrying their burdens if I keep agreeing to it. If you keep agreeing to carrying somebody else's burdens, you'll always be carrying them. It'll never change. So you have to get to a point where you say no and you don't feel bad about it. And like I said, it's easier said than done because sometimes I still feel bad because I'm an empathetic person. And then like you start having a guilt complex, even though you're not the reason this person is in a position they're in. And they might have even brought it on themselves. A lot of times you might have a guilt complex because it's really just the simple fact it's the simple fact that you care. You're empathetic. Like you don't want to see somebody suffer. But even with feeling guilty, you can't feel guilty because like another person, unless you have kids, your kids are your responsibility. But outside of that, another grown ass person is not your responsibility. A stranger is not your responsibility. You, the only people who are your responsibility outside of yourself are your kids. And if you have pets, then your pets. But even in my previous relationship, even in my last relationship, I did so much for this person. I went above and beyond. I'm not going to say all the things that I did because I'm embarrassed that I did some of the things I did for a man because this is my personal belief. I believe the man should be the provider. I believe if anything, like I should be able to depend on my man. It shouldn't be him constantly depending on me and taking, and I'm constantly giving. But that's what I was doing in my previous relationship because in my mind, I subconsciously thought I could save him. And because I love this person, I felt responsible for him. So that's why I did all these different things, thinking that it would help him change his circumstances and change his situation. But guess what? It didn't. It actually got worse because I was enabling him. I thought I was helping him, but I was really enabling him. And he was taking advantage. And that's another thing. When people have a need and they see that you can fulfill that need, they will play on your empathy. And that's what he did with me a lot. He would constantly play on my empathy. And that's why I would say yes to a lot of things and give in to a lot of things and do a lot of things that I've never done for a man. And it got to a point where I realized, Kyla, you cannot save this man. You can only save yourself. And really, you need to be saving yourself from this man. You steady trying to save him, not realizing you need to save yourself from him because he's constantly bringing you down, constantly bringing you down. Like, it was not only taking a toll on my mental health, but it started taking a toll on my physical health. There would be times I would be bleeding outside of my period. And I'm like, this is not normal. I just had my period a week ago. Why am I bleeding again? And it was because of stress. Carrying other people's burdens will cause you stress. I don't care how much you love them. I don't care how much you have empathy for them. You have to ask yourself, is constantly overextending myself and helping this person, is this is this negatively affecting my well-being? And if the answer is yes, you need to take a step back. If helping this person is negatively affecting your well-being, you got to take a step back. And you got to learn to say no and not feel bad about it. Also, you have to ask yourself, is God calling me to step in? Or am I just letting my empathy get the best of me? Is God calling me to step in and help this person? Or am I just letting my empathy get the best of me? Because here's the thing, you can have empathy for a person, but that doesn't mean you're obligated to step in. Because if that was the case, that means you would have to help everybody who needs help. if if you help somebody just because you have empathy, you like that would drain you. That would overwhelm you. Because like I said, you're not God. You're a human just like them. There's times you might need help from people. But if you're constantly the one helping and all you do is give and all people do is take, that is going to take a toll on you. That is eventually not only going to affect your mental health, but it's going to start to affect your physical health. So that's something you have to ask yourself too. Before you agree to help somebody, ask yourself, number one, how did they get in this position? And are they constantly in situations like this? Because if so, by you helping them, all you're doing is enabling them. Because the more you say yes, the more they're going to be like, oh, well, if something happens, I know I always have this person to fall back on. I don't care. Like, I know this person got me. If something happened, I could just always fall back on them. That's you're enabling them, and they're going to take advantage of that. And they're never going to change. So if you really care about that person, instead of always saying yes, sometimes you have to actually say no. So that forces them to figure it out on their own. And it forces them to think about their decisions before they make them. It forces them to it forces them to think before they act. Because they know they don't always have you to fall back on. And you also have to ask yourself, will helping this person negatively affect me in my well-being, in my peace? If the answer is yes, you got to take a step back. And if you feel like you're constantly doing something for somebody, you're constantly helping them, and their situation isn't really changing, their circumstances aren't really changing, or they change, but then they end up in the same position, you have to take a step back and you have to realize there's only so much you can do for that person. There's only so much helping them that's going to make a difference. They have to change. They have to make the difference. And again, that's between them and God. And I did glance at the did glance at the live chat. Somebody said, "What's with your voice?" I have an anxiety disorder which causes my voice to like shake and crack. It's shaking and cracking right now as I'm explaining it. But ever since I was a kid, my voice would shake and crack, and it still does, obviously, especially if I'm anxious, which I'm I'm gonna be real. Anytime I get on live, anytime I record a video, I'm always anxious, even though this brings me joy, and I know that this is my purpose. There's always a level of anxiety and fear. I don't know why that is. I mean, I know why it is because I have an anxiety disorder, but I don't know why, despite me having so much anxiety, I still feel I still feel called to get on here and talk. And I hate it. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And that's why sometimes I say, I feel like Moses, because Moses, he had a stuttering problem. And that's something I didn't find out until like a year ago. All these years I knew about the story of Moses. I didn't know Moses had a stuttering problem. So when God called him to lead the Israelites, he was like, "Me? Are you sure?" I don't feel like I'm qualified. I'm not even a good speaker. I'm not even an eloquent speaker. Like, I stutter a lot. And God was like, "Yeah, I'm positive. You're the one I chose for this mission." So that's why I say sometimes I'll be feeling like Moses. I'll be feeling like the female Moses because I'm like, "Lord, why do you have me talking and sharing all these messages with me having the voice that I have?" Like, but I'm still obedient. Even though I'll be terrified, I'm still obedient. Because even though there is a level of fear, it also brings me joy. I don't know why, but it brings me joy to share these messages God gives me and just help people mentally and spiritually. That's really the purpose of all my videos is helping people mentally and spiritually. It brings me so much joy. Whatever messages God shares with me, I feel obligated to share because it just brings me joy to help people. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I answered that person's question because I'm sure it's other people that's going to watch this like, what's wrong with her voice? What's going on? I have a disorder. I have a disorder. It's been like this since I was a kid. Sometimes it's not as like shaky. Sometimes my voice, I speak very clearly and my voice doesn't shake or crack at all. But if I'm feeling anxious, which I am, that's usually when that's usually when it becomes obvious. But yeah, even so, I pray that this message helped you in some way. And yeah, make sure you like the video, make sure you're subscribed. And if you can't like take my voice, instead of watching my lives, maybe go watch my regular videos. Because in my regular videos, my voice isn't like cracking or shaking as much. And that's because it's pre-recorded. Like if I mess up, if I'm anxious, I can just start over. But with lives, it's raw and uncut. Literally, I can't do no editing to this live. I can't be like, "Oh, I messed up. My voice cracked. Let me stop it and restart." No, I gotta just say F it and keep going. But yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Hi guys, bye guys. I'm sorry I wasn't reading the chat. I didn't want to get distracted. But yeah, deuces.